Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight Latino Voices. I'm Joanna Hernandez. On the show tonight, the legislative session is winding down. We're live from the Capitol. Changes to Illinois health benefits for non-citizenship programs could leave many without medical coverage. In honor of Memorial Day weekend, we hear stories from some Latinos who served in the U.S. military.
It was like a dream to become the owners of this place.
And we take you inside a historic Little Village theater and talk to the owners about its new landmark status. It's a last-minute rush of activity in Springfield, where state lawmakers are scheduled to adjourn tomorrow. But will they make their deadline? WTTW News reporter Amanda Vinicky joins us now with answers. Amanda, thank you for joining us. Now, first question, what's the latest on the budget? Will they be done by tomorrow?
Joanna, no, because when you say budget, I say, what budget? None has popped yet, despite that plan to be adjourned by tomorrow, which means that, yes, the General Assembly is going to be going over. Now, that's not a huge deal. This was sort of an arbitrary deadline that they had set for themselves. And so we're expecting probably there will be a little bit of weekend activity before that budget is finalized. And it is likely going to be shaping up to be pretty darn close to what Governor J.B. Pritzker had proposed early this year.
And what would you say are the holdups?
So the holdups are in part just how much is going to go to what program. There's a general consensus about what to fund, except for the problem is, and I know you'll be speaking about this with some folks earlier on, there's just so many more needs and advocates that are calling for additional dollars for programs that would probably be supported by a lot of us. Just there isn't money for it. So that is one of the big things. And then you talk about as well when you have COVID grants expiring and such, Illinois, in order to fund the programs that are currently there, has to put in even more dollars. So the governor has proposed some revenue packages that would bring more money into state coffers, and there's some pushback on those. So for example, retailers are not particularly fond of a measure that's going to cost them money. Then you have a tax that would go on folks who are really into this popular betting on sports from their phones digitally and such. There is a debate over how much to raise the taxes on that, and then some actually interesting proposals have been coming up that would maybe bring in new forms of online prop betting, for example. So those are some of the elements that are still being discussed. And then finally as well, just how much money is going to be sent to local governments. There's that elimination of the grocery sales tax that would be a hit to local budgets, and legislators are talking about some ways to maybe make up that funding.
And Amanda, hot topic, the CPS and the CTU made a big public push for more money for education. Will they and Mayor Brandon Johnson get what they want?
Yeah, there was that big push for $1 billion, which CPS and CTU toned down and said that they wanted to at least work up to that because they believe that's how much the state owes the district. No, they're not going to be giving their way. I've been told by legislators who are in on these budget talks that the $350 million that Pritzker proposed in his budget is how much is going to be put toward that evidence-based funding formula that really just funds public schools. So the big funding area for public schools. Legislators say, don't just leave it at that. There is additional money that is being put toward education, be it early childhood education, career and technical program funding, what have you. But that big formula, the bulk of the funding, it appears as if it is not going to be increased like Johnson and his allies there had been asking for.
And you've been reporting
on a couple of CPS coming.
Thank you. Now, you've been reporting on a couple of last-minute bills that would impact cannabis and hemp sales. What would they do?
Okay, so these are two really big bills that have just popped, and so these would bring into, for example, you would be able to get curbside pickup for cannabis. You'd have to order it in advance, and you could also perhaps go through a drive-through. That would be allowed in Illinois. Also, right now, there's limited places where medical marijuana patients can get that. Instead, this would be at any cannabis dispensary. And then cannabis dispensaries would also be responsible for carrying all products that have intoxicating hemp. So right now, you see at gas stations, or I know in my neighborhood there is a store that sells products with THC beverages and desserts and such. That would no longer be permitted. Anything that has what this Illinois would declare an intoxicating amount of THC, be it from hemp or CBD, would have to be sold at dispensaries instead of at these other places. Advocates for this change say that Illinois put a lot into trying to build up, entrepreneurs of color in particular and social equity recipients when it legalized cannabis, and that is being undermined by all of this hemp program.
Thank you, Amanda, for that update.
By the way, producers not happy, Joanna. Yeah, they're not happy at all.
I can assume that. Well, thank you, Amanda. Up next, changes to Illinois health benefits for non-citizenship programs could leave many without medical coverage. More on that right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, is made possible in part by the support of these donors.
Thousands of undocumented residents are in jeopardy of losing health care coverage from a pair of state programs. The programs rolled out during the pandemic, providing benefits for immigrant adults and seniors. It offered health coverage for low-income individuals who did not qualify for Medicaid because of their immigration status. The state says the program faces funding problems and have implemented new restrictions. However, advocates are pushing back and urging the state to continue to fully fund both programs. Here to tell us more from Springfield are Veronica Sinceros, a volunteer and immigrant enrolled in the Health Benefits for Immigrant Adults program, who is joined by a translator, and Irene Rendon, the Vice President of Immigrant Justice at the Resurrection Project. Thank you both for joining us. Gracias por atender. Now, Irene, I want to go to you. It's estimated about 6,000 people could lose coverage due to the latest change, which says residents who have been documented for fewer than 5 years will no longer be eligible. What does that mean?
Hi, yeah. So there have been a couple of changes that have been announced for the HBIA and HBIS. One of those has been taking folks who are legal permanent residents and moving them off into different coverages. That one did take effect, and we're expecting that there could be additional changes which would really hurt the undocumented population, particularly healthcare benefits for immigrant seniors, so undocumented seniors who have no alternative choices.
And Veronica, I want to go to you. How has having access to health benefits helped you? ¿Cómo ha obtenido acceso a tu aseguranza te ha ayudado a usted?
¿Cómo te ha ayudado tener acceso a la aseguranza?
Oh, me ha ayudado mucho. Me ha cubierto mucho de los costos médicos. A raíz de la pandemia, pues yo perdí el trabajo, y al perder el trabajo perdí mi aseguranza. Yo desconocía este programa. En la clínica donde me hicieron mi chequeo rutinario fue donde me comentaron acerca de la aseguranza de la cobertura médica.
So Veronica is saying it helped her a lot. It covered medical costs. She lost her job at the beginning of the pandemic and lost her insurance along with that. And when she was at the clinic where she goes for health treatment, they told her about this program.
Now, I want to mention that we also invited the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services that declined to join, but did share a statement with us. Here is part of it. The intention has always been to conduct redeterminations from HBIA and HBIS customers, but these programs launched during the public health emergency when Medicaid redeterminations were paused. Now, so HFS is now implementing redeterminations for customers for the first time. Now, Irene, I want to go to you. Irene, the state is saying the change has to do with the budget. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, one is that we understand that folks have to go through redetermination like any other population. But the issue is that there are already different programs from what U.S. citizens qualify for. And so we don't want the qualifications to continue to change, because that's going to make it so that even existing people who have the program, who are now going to the doctor, who are now able to get treatment if they have a condition, could potentially lose their coverage, and not because of redetermination, but because of potential changes that could happen given like eligibility requirements.
And Edith, the alternative proposed by HFS is to reapply for healthcare coverage through the alternative healthcare marketplace. But does it guarantee healthcare services for everyone trying to reapply?
Well, most folks that are enrolled in HBIA or HBIS are not eligible for the marketplace. So anybody who is undocumented is not eligible for the marketplace, and that's specifically why we need these programs, HBIA and HBIS.
What would you say are some of the challenges or obstacles in trying to reapply for the marketplace?
The biggest challenge is that most of the folks that are enrolled in HBIA and HBIS are not eligible for the marketplace. Only legal permanent residents who have been legal permanent residents under 5 years would be eligible. Everybody else who's undocumented, people like my parents, people like Veronica, who have been receiving now medical treatment for the last couple of years for the first time, sometimes in decades, would be ineligible for entering the marketplace.
And Veronica, I want to go to you. You have lived in the United States for 23 years. Can you tell me a little bit about how this program has benefited you more? Veronica, usted ha dicho que ha vivido aquí en los Estados Unidos por 23 años. Dijo que tenía aseguranza antes en su trabajo, cuando lo perdió. ¿Cómo este programa le ha ayudado más a obtener diferentes exámenes que antes no ha tenido?
Bueno, antes tenía que hacer, aparte de los copagos que tenía yo que hacer de mi bolsillo, he visto mucha diferencia. En esta época me han estado haciendo estudios. Me encontraron una masa densa en mi pecho, cosa que años, pues no, ni en años me hubiera imaginado. La cobertura a mí me ha ayudado mucho. Me ayudó al encontrarme la masa densa, yo pensé que era cáncer, porque tengo familiares que murieron de cáncer y eso para mí es devastador. Cuando pude obtener la cobertura médica, me hicieron los estudios y gracias a Dios no era cáncer, no tengo cáncer, pero me han ayudado mucho a hacer otro tipo de estudios, como también lo es la colonoscopía, y también todo salió muy bien.
Veronica said that before, with her previous insurance, she had copays and out-of-pocket costs that were unaffordable. With this new coverage, she's been able to get the exams and tests needed. In one of the tests, they found a mass in her breast that she thought could be cancer. She's had family members with cancer, which was scary. And this coverage allowed her to get the tests needed, not only for that, but for other things like colonoscopies. Luckily, everything has come out okay, but it's really allowed her to get all of the coverage or all of the services that she needed.
And Edith, we only have a couple seconds left. What's the last message? You're out in Springfield. What do you want people to know?
You know, I think it's important that we remember that immigrants contribute, have spending power of over close to $60 billion in the state of Illinois and have paid $8.6 billion in local and state taxes year after year, and have continued to be ineligible for most programs. And just 0.6% of the budget is saving the lives of countless immigrants, including people like my parents and people like Veronica.
Well, thank you both for joining us. Gracias por estar aquí. Up next, stories from local Latino veterans in honor of this Memorial Day weekend. Stay with us. As the Memorial Day holiday weekend approaches, we'd like to honor Latinos who have served in the U.S. military and who continue to serve in their communities across the Chicago area. Joining us now to tell us about some of their stories are Marco Torres, a U.S. Army veteran and commander of American Legion, Staff Sergeant Jason Vasquez, Post 939. Alderman Peter Chico of the 10th Ward, who is sponsoring a Memorial Day ceremony in South Chicago this Sunday, May 26. Gloria Chavez Gomez, a sister of Private Antonio G. Chavez, a U.S. Marine who was killed in the line of duty at the age of 19 during the Vietnam War. And Abundo Zaragoza, a U.S. Army veteran and commander of the American Legion, Manuel Perez Jr., Post 1017 in Little Village. And via Zoom, Rogelio Vila, a U.S. National Guard veteran, a 2nd platoon leader at the mission continues in Chicago, and a member of American Legion, Manuel Perez Jr., Post 1017. Now, thank you all for joining us. It is a packed house. Now, Alderman Chico, I want to start with you. Your office is participating in a Memorial Day ceremony in South Chicago this Sunday. Tell me more about the details of this event.
So this is an event we gather twice a year for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And we're honoring 12 young men who died in Vietnam. Those men were brothers, cousins, and friends in the community. And we have to, it's incumbent upon ourselves to make sure their life lives on, their legacy lives on.
How would you describe the emotions of that day in that neighborhood?
It's a somber day, but when the community gathers there twice a year, we do find some celebration because we're all together celebrating those men who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
And Gloria, going to you, you grew up in South Chicago. Can you provide us with some history about the Fallen Soldiers Corner mural and the significance of that location?
Yes, thank you for having us, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
If I don't get too emotional, because it's a mix of emotions for all those that have lost someone, and for us to go and reunite at the Our Lady of Guadalupe Memorial. It's a beautiful thing to have the mural sitting up there and having it to be celebrated and to never forget, because I always figure that they served, their job was to serve, and our job is so that we could remember them, and we will celebrate them and help the younger generation to understand what the war is and what it does and what it can bring for us. Freedom. These young men, 12 young men, died for our freedom, and they will live with God that will give us the strength to move forward.
And it's important to continue to tell these stories.
Absolutely.
And Commander Torres, I want to bring you in. The American Legion post dates back to 1919, but in 2019, you charted Post 939, and as I said, in 2019. What made you take on this initiative? Did you feel that Latino veterans were underrepresented in your area? What made you want to start this?
Well, you know, first of all, Joanna, thank you for having us, at, all of us vets, and giving us opportunity to highlight the things that we are doing for veterans in the community and what still needs to be done. I started Staff Sergeant Jason Vasquez Post for many reasons. One of them being that I know what it is to go into veteran service organizations and see a Confederate flag, and I'm talking about last year in Chicago. This wasn't, you know, in the past, so there was a need for that.
What was that feeling for you?
Confusion, because it's 20, at the time it's 2023. Now that's on purpose at that point. That's on purpose, but that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But many times in the Latino community, and I'm sure Abundio can speak to this, you know, you come, you serve, and then you put your uniform away and you don't talk about it. Memorial Day in our communities doesn't look like Memorial Day. The 4th of July in our communities doesn't look like the 4th of July. And that's a shame, and I think that there's many great men and women of Hispanic descent or Latino descent who have served their country, and we should remember them and honor them.
And your post is named actually after your friend, right? Sergeant Jason Vasquez. Can you tell me a little bit about him, who he was?
Yes, Staff Sergeant Jason Vasquez died in 2008 in a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. He was an Army National Guard soldier. He was also a Cook County sheriff. So he was serving in two capacities. He was serving on the local level, and then he was serving on the national level. And he was taken from us. He was robbed from us. When I think of Jason, I think of someone who would have been a leader in the community, someone who would have been sitting here instead of me right now. And that's why we have to do this, and that's why we have to do this work.
What do you miss the most about him?
His smile was Mr. Logan Square.
He had a
It
good
was Mr.
smile.
Logan Square, yeah.
Mr. Logan Square,
Yeah,
I
Mr.
like
Logan
that.
Square.
Abundio, I want to go to, you're the commander of the American Legion Post 1017, which honors Manuel Perez Jr., a Mexican-American private who was killed during World War II. You came here today after selling poppies on the street in Little Village. Tell me a little bit about the significance of poppies, for those who don't know.
Well, the significance of poppies is, of course, it's the red flower that we, it's a fundraising activities. We purchase those from, disabled veterans prepare them, make them. We purchase them from the disabled veterans, and then we in turn go ahead and solicit funding, and then we use that to help out veterans, whether they're veteran or military, in any time of need. So the funds kind of are recycled back, disabled to us back to another veteran.
Of course. And your Post 1017 was launched in 1946. What would you say are some of the difficulties you face in recruiting younger members?
Well, our post was probably the only Latino post in the state of Illinois, and it was chartered in 1946. So you're looking at about 78 years now. So we're probably one of the oldest posts, and I know the Vasquez post is more recent. But some of the challenges were, of course, recruiting. Not everybody's kicking the doors down to join. There are other veteran associations and whatnot that we also compete with. But we're just trying to keep the legacy alive. Manuel Perez was out of his regiment, out of the 11th Airborne Regiment. There were only 2 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients, and he was one of the 2, and that was during World War II. So it's just a story to tell. He was a combat hero. We tell it every Memorial Day. Same thing at Veterans Day. We were instrumental in building naming a brand new school in the Pilsen community on 19th and Troop, which is named after Manuel Perez. I was involved with that. Also, I served as a chairman that raised several $1,000s to erect and commissioned some artists to sculpt a life-size statue of Manuel Perez Jr., which sits at the entrance of the elementary school.
And Rogelio is actually a member, right?
Yeah, Rogelio's a member of our post.
Actually, Rogelio, I want to bring you in. You're one of those young Post 1017 members. What made you decide to join?
Well, I'm a native of Little Village, and of course, as Post Commander Abundio Zaragoza said, our post is located in Little Village. So being out there, volunteering, doing work in the community, and seeing the members of the Manuel Perez post also out there collaborating, supporting, and we started connecting. We started finding that, we had those goals in common of wanting to continue to serve the community. So I said, this is the post that I want to be a part of.
And Rogelio, talking about serving the community, you're the leader at The Mission Continues in Chicago, a nonprofit that empowers veterans to continue serving in their communities. Tell me a little bit just about the services that this organization provides.
Yeah, absolutely. So The Mission Continues is a national veteran nonprofit organization. We have platoon leaders at more than 40 locations, 40 major cities throughout the nation. And platoon leaders are part of the communities, and they want to continue serving after their service. A lot of us vets, even after removing our uniform, we want to continue serving. So The Mission Continues enables us veterans to continue that work by connecting the local community, supporting us, being able to connect with local organizations and identify those initiatives in place that we can help then bring in other veterans who want to find a mission or purpose and be part of something greater and continue working and serving the community.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And Gloria, you will be speaking at this Sunday ceremony in South Chicago about your brother, Private Antonio. Tell me a little bit about him. He was killed when he was 19 years old.
Yes, he had come back and he got married to Judy McCauley. She has since passed 2 years ago. But Antonio, he was a very fine young man, very bright. He went to CVS, he went and he was studying engineering. He had a little band, and you know, just like every other young youth.
All the good things you remember
All the
about
good
him.
things, absolutely.
What would you like people to know about him?
I would like people to know that he was a very honest, strong, patriotic, and the whole thing is we live for our country to keep us free. As other countries, you see how they are involved with the war, and we have to protect the United States so that that war does not come in our backyard. If that ever happens, we will all be in big trouble.
Gloria, we only have a couple seconds left, so I just want to go really quickly, just one word to describe Memorial Day.
Honor.
Patriotic.
Love and
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, it's just a remembrance of our fallen.
Well, thank you all for your service. Thank you for everything that you do for the community.
Thank you very much for having us.
Of course. Now, a note before we head out tonight, make sure to check out our website for a WTTW news investigation into Evanston's ban on gas leaf blowers and its unexpected consequences. Now, the owner of the largest landscaping business in Evanston had a hand in crafting the ban. Meanwhile, smaller landscapers, many of them who were Latinos, say they're feeling the impact. They pay thousands for electric blowers that are less powerful, so their jobs take longer. Clients can't pay higher fees and leave. Now, you can find the full investigation on our website. That's WTTW.com/news. Again, that's our show tonight. We ran out of time to share a story about the Palos 2000 Theater and its new landmark status, but we hope to bring you that story soon. Now, from all of us here at Chicago Tonight Latino Voices, I'm Joanna Hernandez. Stay healthy, stay safe. Buenas noches.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm, and proud sponsor of programming that offers advice and strategies to enhance the physical and mental well-being of fellow legal practitioners in Illinois.